The Two and Out CFL podcast with Travis Currah and Sheldon Jones starts now.
Hey, thanks for joining us for this division semi-final preview in the Canadian Football League. Let's pull back the curtain a little bit here. There is a widespread power outage in Regina at the moment. This thing happened, about 40 minutes ago? So we've had to figure out some solutions to be able to go live and figure this out. We've got limited battery power, so if Sheldon disappears, that's why.
Let's hope Sask Power is on this, because I don't want to go, but let's get to it.
Yeah, so Sheldon's laptop is hooked up to a mobile hotspot. The phone's got about 30% battery, so we're going to get through this show as best as we can. Matthew Taylor, the Georgia Satellite, already in the YouTube live chat. Keep your hands to yourself, a great song from the Georgia Satellite. So thanks for joining us here on the show. This is a sad story, but football fans of all levels and family members listen to this show, and just so sad out of Winnipeg. A young grade 12 football player, Darius Hartshorn, suffered a neck injury in a football game a couple weeks ago, and he's now passed away. So we want to convey since this broke my heart reading this story, our condolences to him, his family, his friends, his teammates. Such a sad story of, it seems like it can happen in any sport, obviously, but this is just so sad to read, and it didn't feel right to go on without, acknowledging that.
Yeah, it's a very, very tragic story. To all his friends and family and coaches, teammates, everyone in that community, because that community is going to be just rocked, because I'm rocked and I'm not even in that community, right? So football is a violent sport, but it's a sport that obviously this young man loved because he played it, and it's something that we all love too, but it kind of really makes you think and makes you realize how quick life is and how it can go just like that. And so again, our thoughts and our condolences to everyone involved.
Yeah. It's sad to talk about, but there is, playoff football at all levels, whether it's, the high school football playing right now, and university football happening this weekend as well. In the AUS, Acadia and St. Mary's are playing, and Bishops and St. FX for the semifinal there. In the OUA, it's Laurier Guelph, Queens Windsor, and then in Canada West, it's Saskatchewan UBC and Regina Manitoba. We could see an all Saskatchewan, I guess, Hardy Cup in Canada West. That would actually be quite the battle, Sheldon.
It would. They're the two teams that have been the top in Can West all year, and it would kind of seem fitting if it did end up those two, playing a game in Saskatoon for the right to go to the Vanier Cup in Regina, right? So,
and we stay in Regina in Saskatchewan for our first news item of the show, as it has been announced that the 114th Grey Cup will be hosted in Regina for the second time in 6 seasons. What stands out to me as well is that the Grey Cup will move another week earlier. So for those that have wanted the Vanier Cup and a Grey Cup to align, that dream is officially, I'd say, gone. That will never happen again. November 7th, 2027. I know some fans, they get a little bit frustrated when the Grey Cup's in Regina, lack of hotel rooms and things like that. But the energy in a city like that is unmistakable when the Grey Cup rolls around. This will be the 5th time that Regina's ever hosted the game, but bigger picture, zooming out, in the last 10 seasons, and that goes before COVID, 7 of those Grey Cups have been in the West Division. So I can see how fans could be getting a little bit restless. If you look back in the history of the Cup, it was really in Vancouver and Toronto, and mostly Toronto. So then once the Grey Cup started traveling country to country or city to city more often, I think it kind of revitalized what the Grey Cup Festival has become. And it is a bidding process. I did hear that Edmonton was in. They did withdraw their bid. They actually lost their bid to Calgary next year as well. So Edmonton is trying to get back in there and host, and it hasn't worked out for them. So, man, I'm looking at CFL.ca and the graphic. Mosaic Stadium spelled wrong. MOSIAC. I hate to point that out, but that's right on CFL.ca. Come on, guys. That makes you shake your head. But this means that even though it hasn't been in Montreal by 2027 in nearly 20 years, they didn't bid. Ottawa's got the renovations going on with Lansdowne 2.0. Didn't bid. Toronto hasn't hosted since 2016. They have some renovations after the World Cup. Didn't bid. So Regina gets the game, and people can be upset about it, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles here.
Yeah, I have sympathy for the fans in the East who travel to the Grey Cup every year and another year having to come back to the West. But at the same time, it just seems like nobody but Edmonton and Saskatchewan wanted to do it, and obviously Saskatchewan outbid them. I know a lot of people do say they don't like Grey Cups in Regina. However, as far as the CFL standpoint, most of the Grey Cups that have been held in Regina have been regarded as wildly successful. And Regina knows how to throw a party. We know how to support events when they come, whether it's in curling or with the Briars or the Scotties or anything like that. Regina likes its sports, and we always host, and there's a bunch of volunteers here. There's never a problem getting volunteers. And a couple of new things that kind of just got announced too is legal tailgating is officially a go for next year. The government has tabled that legislation specifically for Rider games only to start. But so I'm going to assume that means that Grey Cup will have tailgating. And another thing is one of the buildings next to the Brandt Center has been leased, I guess, to one of the Semples who owns the Pats, and he's creating a new entertainment kind of setup with bars and a House of Blues style concert place and all these things, and that is supposed to be ready by December 2026. So that's another thing that will be ready, hopefully, for the Grey Cup. There's supposed to be a couple more hotels built in this time frame too, so it's coming here. So either you're coming here or you're not. Doesn't matter. That the CFL and the Grey Cup is.
This is an interesting question from Matthew, and I think that's a big conversation too. The fact that this game is going to be played November 7th. So that means a few things. Like the season will start at the end of May. So it seems like week 1 of the preseason probably happens May long weekend, I would think. And then this past year...
even earlier, I think.
Well, yeah. And this past year, the draft was April 30th.
Because we had them starting this year.
That's getting pretty tight when it comes to the draft. And you would like to have the CFL draft after the NFL draft. I don't know if that's going to be possible. All that being said... maybe the optimist in me says maybe there's going to be a 10th team by 2027 and the season just ends up being a week shorter because of the bye weeks. But the realist in me says, I don't know, there's a little bit more at play here. There's a big ripple effect here by having the Grey Cup this early. Looks like the earliest Grey Cup in history. We'll have to see how it shakes out. That 2027 Cup, the first one, it's just a fact. the first one without 55-yard line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh, it's going to be interesting. Like you said, we'll have to see how it goes. I hope it goes well. I really hope that they decide just to put a C instead of 50 at the middle, and then maybe that can appease some people, because I know some people just want to see that C in the middle. So maybe that's a compromise that some people can get on board with. Probably not, but hey, it's happening whether we like it or not. So we are either going to like it or not.
Yeah, Austin saying, hey, Montreal in 2028 or 2029. I sure hope so. It looks like they're going to put another like 500 million into the Big O. Like all, sort of inflation factored in, that stadium is, they have to have put like 3 billion into that thing by now. It's a money pit.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Have
Let's
you
start
been
talking
in the
football.
Big O?
I have not. I've never even been to Montreal, so I can't
Oh,
wait for when Grey
okay.
Cup goes there so we can go there. Yeah.
I saw Metallica at the Big O. When the openers were on, I was really concerned about how my favorite band was going to sound, but I feel like they turned it up so loud that it conquered the cavernous echoes of Olympic Stadium. But just one thing to note, we sat in the upper bowl, and the opposite sides of the stadiums are even sections, the other side is odd sections. And my first time there, I didn't know that. I was just following numerically looking for my section, and it wasn't there. And I asked the seat usher, where are my tickets? And he looks at my ticket and he's like, yeah, it doesn't exist. Well, my ticket got me in here, so it has to exist. And then I looked at this giant seating map, and I got to walk a mile around the Big O to get to my actual section. But it's a crazy place, man.
I can't wait to go there and get some poutine and Montreal smoked meat sandwiches.
Yeah, it is a place, man. My life expectancy way down after a visit to Montreal. Now, we did learn the CFL Award Finalists in every category here. So, the George Reed Most Outstanding Player, it's going to be Rourke versus Mitchell. Defensive Player, Betts versus Hauser. I think that one kind of surprised me there. He does lead the league in quarterback pressures, so great for the Ticats defensive end to get the nomination there. The Canadian, Nathan Rourke versus Adiemi Berglund. O-lineman, Jamarcus Hardrick for the Riders against Brandon Revenberg of the Ticats. I know some Lions media folks very fired up about Broxton not getting the nom for the Leos. Special teams player Trey Vavel of the Bombers against Liram Haralahu of the Argos. Trey Vavel, double nominee, most outstanding rookie against Devin Varasic of the Ticats. And coach of the year, Corey Mace against Jason Moss. Some pretty good races here in award season.
There is, but I think there's a couple. We're gonna have a couple multiple winners for the first time ever, I think, and that's pretty crazy.
Rourke, you're predicting that right now?
I am predicting Rourke will. Well, if he wins Most Outstanding Player, he has to win Most Outstanding Canadian. It's just they go hand in hand if you're a Canadian to win that award, and yeah, Trey Vavel, he's definitely going to win the Special Teams Award, and if you're a rookie and you win the Special Teams Award, you should win both too, I think. So, I don't see those races going either way, unfortunately, for fans of the other people.
Now, here's a question. Will either MOP candidate be playing in the Grey Cup?
I don't think so, but they could be. I don't know how either they both very well could be. Like BC's the hottest team in the league, and Hamilton, I think they're determined. But Davis Alexander hasn't lost yet, and he's not losing this week, I don't think. So I don't know, man.
I, you know what? During the summer, when the Ticats and the Lions played, they put on a real show.
Hmm.
I understand November football is a little bit different. If it was the Kitty Bowl in a few weeks in Winnipeg, I think they would put on a pretty darn good show. The all CFL teams have been announced, as you will note. A lot of these players we already talked about have been nominated, but the BC Lions getting pretty fired up about their guy, Jonah Tavai, not being nominated for defensive tackle. However, who do you take out? Jalen Hutchings or Micah Johnson? I don't know. I feel like it's a bit of a coin flip between all these guys. I know you think he deserves to get in there, but those two players from Saskatchewan and Calgary, they're beasts too.
Yeah, well, and I know there's a lot of talk in Ryderville that AJ Allen should have been on there too, with the season that he's had. But again, that like in this league, we have so many great players that sometimes it's just a few of those fan votes or player votes. I don't remember how it's weighted, but not everyone can make it to the All-Star list. But we have certainly a lot of All-Stars, all CFL caliber players in this league.
News out of Edmonton actually surprised a few people and a few Elks fans as well, with the news that defensive back Tyrell Ford has been extended through 2027. Now, the cynic
Yeah.
in me thought, could this be a sign and trade? Because now his contract aligns with his brother. However, Tyrell was asked, and he's like, hey, I got to do what's best for me. Remember when the Sedines were playing, together in Vancouver? I wonder if the Ford brothers would kind of become a package deal, but it doesn't seem to be the situation right now. But an interesting wrinkle. Some thought that maybe he was as good as gone, kind of just like Trey, right?
Well, yeah, I think he had a quieter year than the year before, but I also think that teams weren't testing him as much just because of how good he is. So kind of a little bit of a weird situation. I don't know if he would have still was able to get the same amount of money or if he had to take a little bit of a pay cut to stay. But if he wants to stay, obviously he's got to understand, or he's got to think that there's something good in that locker room. There's something worthwhile of him staying, even if, a lot of people could perceive that his brother wasn't given a fair shot. I think he was, but there's a lot of people out there who were flying that free trade banner, and you would think that that noise might get to the brother of the person it's affecting, right? But like Tyrell said, they got to do what they got to do for each other. This is their career, and they can't let each other's issues or experiences tie it to themselves. So good for him.
Now, Sheldon, have you ever watched one of those TSN data enhanced feeds?
I have. I have.
What'd you think of it?
I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was choppy at some times, and uh, I think there's definitely improvements they could make. But for diehard people who like seeing the routes and like seeing how fast a player is running or something like that, I think it's really cool. I hope that they can continue to make improvements to it, though.
So it does look like that data enhanced feed is going to be available to everyone, not just TSN Plus subscribers. So that's going to be on TSN2 if you are in Canada and want to check that out a little bit, maybe flip back and forth if it's not your thing. They're going to have the regular one available, but the data enhanced one, which I think I'm going to have to check out and just see what that looks like, because I think in theory it seems really cool, but I haven't checked it out. I've seen a few 30-second clips of it, and I kind of want to see what it's going to look like itself. Now, we're going to take a bit of a break here. We're going to get back to preview the East semifinal in Montreal between the Bombers and the Alouettes.
Well, good morning. It's 5:27 a.m. I'm in Black Falls, Alberta, and my journey to the Labor Day Classic in Regina starts now. And when we're done, we're gonna feast on watermelon!
Caffeinated in Kindersley, took a nap, a few more hours to home, and then a good night's sleep after a classic Labor Day Classic in Regina.
There we go, Sheldon, our first ever commercial break. I don't know if it worked, but I tried.
Hey, that was news to me that was coming, so that was exciting.
I don't know if it worked. I'm not
But
watching
yes.
the stream.
Hey, neither am I, but hopefully it was a fun time for everyone in the commercial break, and we're back to talk CFL football.
The Eastern semifinal, hosted by the Montreal Alouettes, where the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are the crossover team for the very first time as they look to represent the East eventually in the Grey Cup, hosted in their own stadium, Princess Auto Stadium. Now, these two teams played twice this season, both wins for Winnipeg. Now, the one at the end of the season, it didn't matter. They ended up resting Davis Alexander, and the one earlier in the season, Davis was injured, and the Bombers got the win. So keep that in mind when comparing them with head-to-head records. But the Alouettes come into this game as 6.5-point favorites, on fire, with a quarterback that still has not lost a start.
Yeah, it's honestly, I think it's two teams trending in opposite directions. I think the Bombers are starting to trend down. I think the Alouettes are trending back up again after reaching the top with Cody Fajardo, and then having a year where it didn't quite happen that way. But now having their guy Davis, he's in command of the offense. He hasn't lost the games that he's started. But again, this is playoffs, and anything can happen. It comes down to who's going to protect the ball, who's going to capitalize on other teams' mistakes, and just who's ready. And we have two coaching staffs that they're two of the best in the league, so I assume they're going to be ready to go.
Now, both teams with recent playoff success, obviously. The Bombers have actually not played on the road in the playoffs outside of a Grey Cup since 2019, where they went to Calgary and won the semifinal. They went to Regina, won the final, and then ended up winning the Grey Cup. And these two teams did battle in the Grey Cup in Hamilton a couple of years ago. Of course, Cody Fajardo was the guy for the Alouettes back then. It doesn't look like Davis Alexander will be a guy that will let the stage or the pressure or the playoffs get to him at all. That being said, Zach Collaros' struggles in big playoff games have been well documented, and I don't need to remind Winnipeg fans of that at all. However, I mean, Alexander's got to lose once. I mean, eventually. I don't know if it's going to be this week, but that Bomber team does have a core that has been to all 5 of those Grey Cups. They've had to make some modifications and, let some guys go for salary cap reasons, but as a general rule, a lot of them have been there for these playoff runs. If there was a team to do it, a crossover team to go on a run, I just might think that this team could end up doing it. I'm not so sure if it's this season, but could the young quarterback have a little bit of butterflies, especially early on? Simple mistakes like overthrowing the receiver and things like that. And I would have to think that the Bombers would need to try to take advantage of those early nerves, I would say, from a quarterback like Davis Alexander.
Yeah, he's human, so that it's very possible that that could happen. But if Winnipeg, if I was them, I'd be blitzing him and trying to cause havoc right off the hop to try to, like you said, get him a little bit rattled and see if they can capitalize on some mistakes. But honestly, from what I've seen from him, even when he hasn't been playing, he's been locked in on the sidelines. He's been extremely vocal with his teammates. He's been locked in when it comes to with the coaches and seeing the play call coming in and kind of doing his mental reps on the sideline. I just this this kid is a gamer, and I think he's obviously been ready for prime time. We see in the Blue Jays series Trey Yesevich, who's just lighting the world on fire as a rookie pitcher. He's started more playoff games than regular season games now, and now we have who could be that type of player for Montreal. This rookie who, or not rookie, but first year starter who's just lighting the world on fire and seems like he has ice in his veins. And now we're gonna have to see, because we're starting to get colder, and that ice in the veins has got to be you got to be able to throw the ball, and you got to be able to score touchdowns, especially against Winnipeg, because they are gonna make you pay if you don't.
If we look at the tail of the tape, one of the glaring things that pops off the page at me is the turnover ratio. And of course, Zach Collaros has struggled with interceptions this year. I believe he's 17 TDs, 16 interceptions. Like, he knows he's got to be better in that department, but those Alouettes are good at taking the ball away. The Bombers are -8. Good for second last in the CFL, while the Bombers are near, or the Alouettes are near the top, +8. No, sorry, the Bombers are -11. I believe I said -8. The Alouettes are +8, third in the CFL. So if Zach's going to get into turnover trouble, that Alouette defense is good enough to take advantage of that. Another thing that pops off the page at me is that maybe it seems a little bit anecdotal that the Bombers don't run the ball enough. That maybe they don't give it to their star running back, Brady Oliveira, enough. But they are second in the CFL in rushing yards, over 2,200 rushing yards on the season. And maybe that is really magnified by Winnipeg's struggles on second down. They're 6th in the league in converting second downs, and 37% of their drives are 2-and-outs. That's 7th in the league. That's a little bit different than what we've seen from Winnipeg in the past. Zach Collaros has been very frustrating for opposing defenses. Second and long situations, it seems like whenever this team had a hole, they were able to get out of it. This year, those are like turning into interceptions or just incompletions, and the offense just isn't on the field long enough.
Yeah, they haven't. It's just been a very weird year when it comes to this. I think, being second in rushing yards, yeah, that's not as bad as I think a lot of us would have thought, but they're used to just being the runaway leaders because of how much they've been doing it. And it's just very weird that the former running back coach, who's now the OC, doesn't seem to be using him as much. And maybe this is a big ploy to save him for the playoffs, but you're down to a make or break game. And Montreal, their rushing defense is middle of the pack, right? So you can possibly run on them, but they have weapons on defense who can stop you. And when you're not used to having those offensive linemen doing that run blocking and getting those lanes open for Oliveira as much as, or as often as they normally would, then maybe it doesn't work when you do finally dip into the well.
That linebacking duo of Beverette and Sankey in Montreal might be the most dangerous linebacking duo in the CFL. And I saw it brought up in the live chat from the Georgia satellite. There are a few injuries actually in this game that will be key to both teams. And right now, I'm going to point first at the Alouettes defensive line. Mustafa Johnson ended up getting hurt in that meaningless game against the Bombers, and he's questionable for this week. I'm going to say probably likely that he doesn't play because he hasn't practiced at all with the shoulder issue. Lawal Ugawak, they do have him listed as available, but he didn't practice early in the week and he was limited earlier today. Since the Alouettes are 6th in the CFL in rushing defense, you'd have to think that they're going to try to run at them early and often, especially with some injuries on the D line, and try to control that clock a little bit more. And that's what Winnipeg has been so good at for the past 5 years.
Yeah, they're at the point where they just need to go. They need to look back at last year's playbook and bring that one out and use it, because obviously this year has not been happening, or it hasn't been happening like it should be in fans' eyes. But you need to be able to take some pressure off Zach, just because of how he's been playing in the playoffs lately, and not just but this whole season. Like, if he gets into the point where he feels like he has to do everything, and he's not going to have most likely his go-to guy in Nick Dembski, and it seems like that's kind of where most of the offense is kind of built around, it seems, because when he's not in there, they're not getting it done. So if he doesn't have that guy that he trusts to do those jet sweeps, or to be that receiver across the middle, that's when mistakes can happen, when the turnovers.
Nick Dembski is that Swiss Army knife of the Winnipeg Blue Bomber offense. They get him doing everything. They get him carrying the ball. They have him in motion all over the field as much as they can. So him being doubtful is rough for them. 1,001 receiving yards on the season, his third consecutive 1,000-yard season, 7 touchdowns for him as well. So him not being in there, we saw that Bomber offense, and I think that's the question mark for them right now. I think the defense can do enough to win for Winnipeg. They've got guys there that have done it before. But can the offense do it? Against Saskatchewan's backups, they barely got the win. So without Dembski in there, the leadership he brings, of course, Dalton Schoen got hurt back on Labor Day. He was trying to play through that knee injury and finally had to leave. I know Ontario Wilson can make some circus catches. They've got Carrick Wheatfall, but that offense needs to find a way to make plays, and it's not going to be an easy task against an aggressive defense like Noel Thorpe's in Montreal.
Yeah, it's not looking good, and you don't have Chris Strevler. So if something does happen to Zach, you don't have your experienced backup, and you don't have that trusted short yardage guy right now. So that's a huge thing, because in the Grey Cup last year, Zach got hurt and he wasn't able to throw the ball at all. So you're only as good as your quarterback. I know, and I agree that I think Winnipeg's defense could squeak out a win here, but that would have to be if Montreal's offense were really off their game, because they're rolling really hard right now, and I think Alexander is just, if he didn't get hurt, I think there's a very real possibility that he's MOP over Nathan Rourke even. So I just think that's the type of year he's been having.
Yeah, one of the key things there is the emergence, I would say, on Montreal's roster of Stevie Scott III. They didn't really have a rushing attack at all at the beginning of the year. In all due respect to Sean Thomas Erlington, but they had him going in like week 1, and then he ended up getting hurt. They went to Travis Tice, and I think he's a solid running back. He ended up getting hurt, but Stevie Scott III, as it's gotten a little bit crappier outside, cooler outside, we saw him run over the Red Blacks, and actually, he's a pretty bruising running back. Those poor DBs, if he gets into the second level, he dishes out some punishment there. But the Bombers are good against the run. They're third in the CFL in that department. So we'll see how they handle him when it comes to the East semi-final here. But that crowd at Percival Molson is going to be rocking. And they're going to make life difficult for the Blue Bombers. But, a lot of guys on that side have seen it before. They've felt it before. So I've been poking around their social media. I think they've found a way to make themselves the underdogs. But it seems like every team tries to do that a little bit. Like, give themselves, carve that old chip on the shoulder so they have some extra motivation going into the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think, when it comes down to playoffs, any team can win. And so any team can find a way to make it seem like the other team going in has an advantage. And this Winnipeg Blue Bombers team, I'll say it, they're probably the best team to cross over so far. So like you said, I think if there is a year, then maybe this could be that year if all things lined up. Like, I know Saskatchewan almost got there if it wasn't for Ricky Ray to just carve their defense with too much time left on the clock. So it's not like it's an impossibility. It just hasn't happened yet, and it will happen someday. This year could be that year.
Bobby Dubois is in the live chat saying the Strevler thing has to be a bit.
Bobby.
Sheldon brings him up too much.
That's have you seen him in a fur coat, man? Like, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Man crushes are allowed on 2 and Out.
Good.
Come on, like that celebration in 2019. We need more of that. More of that.
CFL version of Ovi. Like,
you know what? I actually think Davis Alexander, if he gets the Grey Cup, that he's gonna have the biggest dip ever at that championship rally in Montreal.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, I think those guys will put on a pretty good party. Looks like a perfect 6 degrees and no rain in Montreal. Mig lap 25 with the weather report. Thanks for that. So it will be good football. Just a little bit of that chilly Montreal air. I couldn't believe it. My first time there, it was like -10. It felt like -40. I couldn't believe what it felt like. That what's happening there? The -40, or did you get a report on your phone, or what?
No, I'm just trying to secure more battery.
Oh, okay. Okay, we're
getting close.
Oh, we're getting close. We're gonna take another break here and come back for the Western semi-final.
I hope that most people,
I'll be back, man.
I've been looking online, I'm seeing a lot less done with the CFL than I thought I would. We still have so much of this game that is Canadian and why we fell in love with it. And I hope that people can realize that, see that. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your fandom and and you're allowed to feel however you want. I just hope that people are still giving it a chance.
When I mean this with the utmost respect as a season ticket holder, that has my name on accounts for 2 franchises. I wonder if those people that say they're done with the CFL have bought a ticket or 2 in the last few years. Because if they did, with the amount of angry comments I'm seeing, I don't think we would be in this situation. So if we don't want any further changes, buy a ticket or 2 and watch some CFL football live. Okay, we are back here on the show, and here's the deal. If you weren't here at the very beginning, power's out in Regina. So we're working with limited battery right now. Sheldon's got the hotspot going from his phone to his laptop to keep the show running. So he's off somewhere trying to get that figured out. So I will man this show as best as I can. The weather report from Montreal continues. Wind gusts up to 35 kilometers an hour. So that could be a option here, or a factor in the game as well. Wayne, yeah, he was at about 36% when the show started. I don't know where he is right now, but yeah, the power went out about 40 minutes before our live stream, and that's kind of what has gone on right now. So, Did you find power? What's going on?
I got a card. Hopefully it's gonna be fine here in the old plugged into the laptop. We'll see how it goes.
Okay. Here we are. Oh, the live chat is Paul's fired up. Such a great time to talk about the Calgary Stampeders' upcoming victory. But Terry's in the live chat saying it's all about the BC Lions as well. So we've got a diversity of opinions in the YouTube live chat, which I love. Now, this is pretty good script writing from the fix makers in the CFL, where Vernon Adams Jr. has to return to his old digs if he wants to get forward and win himself a Grey Cup. Now, here's the deal. Do you believe, Sheldon, that eventual
CFL's
championship
yes.
quarterbacks need to lose a couple times before they get over the hump? Now, I look back at Winnipeg, and maybe that just includes whole teams. The Bombers lost the 2017 West semifinal. They lost the 2019 West final. And then in 2019, and ever since then, we kind of know what has happened there. I think here with the BC Lions, they've had good regular season success, but haven't quite gotten over that hump in the playoffs just yet. That being said, I think you can put the Riders in that category as well. There are a few teams this year that have had heartbreaking losses in the playoffs that could get over the hump and finally get that ring on their finger. And you might put Vernon Adams Jr. in that category as well for the Calgary Stampeders. But do you see it that way? A couple of these guys need to experience some of those heartbreaking losses before eventually getting to the promised land?
I mean, yes and no. I think you learn a lot from a loss, and I think if it's a championship game and you're at the other end of the field when you see the confetti going, I know there's a lot of players who on the opposing team stay out there to watch that. Ooh, the power came back on. That's good. Hopefully the router works without me having to do anything. So as I was saying, what was I saying?
I don't know. Oh, guys, losing,
losing
before they get
yeah. So yes, I think that you learn, like I said, you learn a lot with losing. But there's some guys who have been, I don't say losing for a long time, like Trevor Harris. Like he's had that knock where he hasn't been able to take that final step, and I know that. Nathan Rourke, I don't think we're quite ready to label him with that. Last year he came back, and I think last year was a situation where with VA there and him Nathan's kind of struggling when he came back and then getting pulled for VA in the playoffs. So that probably didn't sit well with Nathan, and so he knows that he has the whole chance there, the actual chance it's his team now here going in, and Like you said, script, like it's perfect. That's must be why the early whistle and all that stuff, so that the Lions could win, so that this could happen out perfectly against the Stamps here. Just kidding.
Jeez. And speaking of, teams that want to make themselves sound like underdogs, you should see Calgary's social media work. Like, they even took some of Enoch Moamba's comments from the panel like earlier, and Enoch commented, "I said sorry to you guys at Labor Day." But they don't care. Like, they're fired up. But I mean, speaking of guys losing and then getting over the hump, it feels like Vernon Adams Jr. needs to get over that BC hump. Like, back in September, that's when the Stamps kind of fell off. They had that loss in Edmonton, and then BC just crushed them 52-23. And then 2 weeks later, BC handled them again 38-24. So much like Calgary handled Winnipeg this year in the summer. Yeah, and Saskatchewan, BC's really handled Calgary. And I don't know if those are the games that broke VA and got his confidence off track a little bit here, but he's got to have his head right for this Western semi-final on the coast.
Oh, for sure. But VA typically struggles in these games when he's trying to really like when it's a game against a team that he felt that maybe has wronged him, and going back to quote unquote the scene of the crime, back to BC Place. I think when he got there and when he had his early success before he got injured and before Nathan Rourke came back, like I think he must have thought like, hey, I'm the guy here. This is gonna be where I finish my career, and we're gonna win Grey Cups and all that kind of stuff. And he bought in to the BC Lions culture that they were building there. He buys in everywhere. He's a great teammate. He's a great leader in that sense. It just sometimes I think he tries to put too much on his own shoulders and tries to go too hard and fit that ball in there when maybe he shouldn't. And I want the best of the VA. I don't love the Calgary Stampeders, but I love Vernon Adams, and so I hope for his sake he's able to get that monkey off his back maybe. But this is going to be a tough sledding for a BC team that's playing in its own stadium, in its own environment with lots of fans. They've opened up the upper deck. They're hoping to get to close to 30,000 people in there. It gets loud in that building. Recipe for success for BC right now.
I'll let you know that the Stampeders don't like you either. They actually posted a reel recently. The social media person had a sign that said, say something nice about the Saskatchewan Roughriders. No players did, to say the very least, which I loved. I thought that was classic.
I love that stuff. I really do.
Yeah, I really like that.
I'm gonna be right back. You take this for a little bit.
Okay, this is
Sorry.
crazy. There, I think it's just me now. I look at the divisional records for both teams, and a lot of times that's where the champions are made, right? And the Stamps are 7-3 inside the West. Their losses came against Edmonton and both against BC, so the Lions are coming in confident. The Lions 6-4 inside the division and 6-3 at home this season, so that adds up to them being 4.5 point favorites in this game. I do think I mixed up the sides for certain things because those Lions are first in passing yards, but the Stamps are first in rushing yards. So these teams are going to come at things completely differently. And that last game that BC beat Calgary by a couple touchdowns, even Dave Dickinson at the half was sort of perplexed. He's like, what do we do? We're getting to Nathan Rourke. We're getting pressure, but he gets rid of the ball so fast. And the Stamps actually struggle with giving up passing yards. They're good. They're pretty good against the run, but against the pass, they're 7th in the CFL. And those BC Lions, they score in bunches. They have the least 2-and-outs in the league. They have the best second down conversion percentage in the CFL. So when they start rolling, it's almost like you have to keep your offense on the field to kind of break up their rhythm, because this may sound dramatic, but sometimes it seems like you can't defend it. You just kind of have to deal with it.
Yeah, oftentimes your best defense is your offense, and um, yeah, Nathan Rourke and the receivers that he's able to have there, they can do a lot of damage really quickly. And like you said, sometimes it's not even like he doesn't get pressured; he just gets rid of the ball that quickly, or he finds a lane and he runs. Like that 70-yard run for a touchdown a couple weeks ago. Like he can score from anywhere on the field. And for whatever it was, like against the Riders backups though in Regina, he lit him up that first play. And there was a couple times when he was able to capitalize on some holes there, but I think the Riders proved that you can limit him and you can find ways to pressure and rattle him. It's just in his own environment at home with that, it's the crowd's going to be quiet for them on offense. I think he's in his element, and that's when he's able to be just like surgical. Uh, so Calgary's defense is going to have to play really, really good, and Calgary's offense is going to have to be able to give them time to get their breaths in, to talk with their coaches and to adjust, because if EA goes 2-and-out a bunch of times, it's going to be a really long night for the Stamps in BC Place.
Yeah, 34% of Calgary's drives are 2-and-outs. That is 5th in the CFL. But another big thing here is the turnover ratio. And I think we kind of ignore that from BC because they score so much. Like I said, they'll go on 3 or 4 touchdown drives in a row, and you're just like, what just happened out there?
Yeah.
They're -4, 6th in the CFL in turnover ratio. The Stamps are +9, 2nd in the league. Hey, Adrian Green, former BC Lion, that guy's always looking for an interception. Rourke does turn the ball over. If that D-line is able to get to him fast enough, then maybe there is an opportunity for the Stamps to force some turnovers. Like that D-line, even without Falarin or Rimolade, they are trouble for teams, and they've really woken up in the last few weeks. I actually think that might be the key to this game. If that Stamps D-line is playing well, they got a shot to win any week.
Oh yeah, that's how the Calgary Stampeders beat the Riders, specifically because they were able to shut down their run, and they were able to get pressure on the quarterbacks. Like that's how they do it. That was their MO, and it's an easy one, and especially in the playoffs. Those guys, I think Calgary has a lot of detractors kind of. I think they started out really hot, and a lot of us didn't expect that, and then they kind of fizzled a little bit and kind of went through a little bit of a valley situation, and maybe teams kind of figured them out. Maybe, I don't know, maybe something with VA losing confidence. I don't know, but they have found it a little bit. They have kind of come into the playoffs on a little bit of a high, getting back up there and securing this home playoff game. But like you said, if their defense isn't able to get that pressure and isn't able to cause chaos, I don't see it being a positive outcome for them.
And you know what? I guess we can't just not talk about Matthew Betts and the BC Lions D-line either, because it seems like ever since, and I always talk about this game, when Nick Arbuckle and the Argos popped 50 on the Lions, and everybody on the West Coast was like, we got to get rid of Benavidez. They really changed. Now, of course, the addition of TJ Lee back in the secondary has been really big for them. But 52-34 back in week 12, the Argos crushed the Lions. And then they lost 34-33 to Ottawa. Two of the weakest teams in the CFL. Two of the three teams outside looking in the playoffs, and they beat the Lions back in August. So they've had their valleys as well. But since then, that D-line has gotten really aggressive. Matthew Betts, I thought he had sort of a slower start to the season, but he's really come on as well. So obviously credit goes to that BC Lions D-line that gets in there and beats people up. Like, Betts had 6, 9, 10 sacks over 4 games after September. So, 11 sacks in his last 6 games. And then you're doing really good at that, man. I feel really uneasy.
Better than my last time. You can clip that one now, and better than my last one.
So I've gotten into collecting CFL cards again. How do I get them to put that on the card? I don't want him in equipment. I just want him just staring. If I could get a Matthew Betts autograph stare card, I got some blank space on the wall behind me that I'd love that over my shoulder.
Just make a big poster of it.
I think it's classic. But, and all that being said, both teams have a little bit of injury problems on the O-line. So, the last time these teams played, both quarterbacks were getting pressured early and often. Who's going to be able to adjust and make those adjustments quickly and get there? Like, sometimes when Rourke gets blitzed, he can turn it over, or he can throw into the blitz and make you pay for that. But this game goes on. I think it's going to be a fascinating coaching battle as well, to see who's going to be able to adjust.
Yeah, the first time that Buck Pierce is going to be calling the whole game and in charge of everything. Like, he's used to being in the playoffs. He's used to calling offensive plays. That's not different for him. But now he has to think of everything when it comes to clock management, when it comes to timeouts, when it comes to challenges, personnel. Like, all of that stuff falls under him instead of just the offense now. So. And he's up against a grizzled CFL veteran who's been to the dance before and has had success in the dance, but has not had success for a while in the playoffs. And he's got something to prove. I think a lot of people thought that if the Stamps kind of were the way that we thought they were going to be here, that he might not have a job at the end of this. But I think, this may shock some people who think I'm just the biggest rider home in the world, but I think Dickinson probably should have been Coach of the Year in the West instead of Mace, because he took the Stamps to 11 wins this season. That was a lot more than I think most people thought. I know in the NFL, the Coach of the Year is traditionally more of the comeback coach, and more in the CFL, it's more of, who kind of has the best record or whatever. But I think Dickinson did a better job than most people thought he would this year. So, and he's going to know what to do in these playoffs, and he's going to have his moments where he's going to challenge something dumb, because that's what he does. And he's going to have his moments where he has a meltdown on the side of the field, because that's what he does. But at the end of the day, he is one of the top probably 10 coaches in CFL history when it comes to overall wins and all that stuff. And you can't knock a guy for that.
I can hear Darren Baker, our resident Calgary friend, yelling like in support or wondering who this guy is and what he did with Sheldon Jones.
The power outage, it changed me. I was watching Sears before this, and then the power goes
So
out.
you're watching a horror movie and the power went out?
Well, no, like I had already paused the movie because it's a long movie.
Okay.
I had already paused the movie. I came over to the old workstation to start doing, and then that's when the power went out. And then I'm just like, and then I heard a noise.
You
And
thought
then
you were going down.
I lit all these candles to try to do light so I could do it on my phone.
That's even
and
creepier.
it was very creepy. So thank you, Stadnick, and all your friends at SAS Power for getting the power back on. Appreciate that.
Wow. I'm glad that that we were able to make this happen. We were delayed a little bit. Yeah, Bill in Burlington, there is another sporting event happening in Canada this weekend. We're going to have to touch on that right away. Mr. Sheldon has the jersey on right now. But yeah, I echo your sentiments on Dave Dickinson. Like at the end of last year, there was a lot of talk, and from Stampeder veterans, that culture was just wrecked, and the morale was gone. And a lot of times the solution for that is to fire the guy at the top. And when the guy at the top is the GM and the head coach, I mean, obviously you could see it going that way. So credit to him. And obviously I think bringing in a guy like VA right off the bat helps that. It just shows, the character that he has right off the bat. So respect to Calgary. They were in the playoffs for what seemed like, 2.5, well, it was 2.5 decades in a row, wasn't it? 2 decades anyway. So back into the playoffs where they regularly are.
Yeah, and that's all well and good and stuff, but like all of us other fan bases in the last 20 years have had to deal with their teams missing the playoffs for multiple years. So it's only fair that it should have happened to Calgary and not just
There's Sheldon, you're back.
That's right.
Did the power go out again or something?
The ghost of Darren has left my body, and screw the Stamps, anybody but Calgary.
You're like little Ruby Sue on Christmas Vacation that like falls down the well and her eyes go cross and then gets kicked by a donkey. Is that the story?
Yeah, something like that. I love Christmas Vacation, but this has been a trying time in podcast realm, and I just can't think of everything about Christmas Vacation right now. It's Halloween. It's not Christmas yet. Oh, come on.
I'm sorry. The best part about Halloween is November 1st.
You're right, except not this year.
What's your candy?
I got to be a good boy and not do that this year.
Oh. I keep I'm the little, bad influence on Sheldon's shoulder.
It's okay. I like you there. You're comfy.
Reese's Pieces all the way. Okay.
Yeah, and if I see one more video on TikTok where somebody says Reese's Pieces.
People say that? Reese's?
Well, people call them Reese's. Oh, let's get some Reese's cups. That's not what they're called. They're Reese's.
Wow.
Reese's Pieces. It rhymes.
Flesh wound of 42 after Sheldon gets in a dig at the Stampeders. The voltage is normalized. Surge protection enabled.
Yes. Sorry about that to everyone. Sorry for...
We were worried about you.
I was worried about myself. It's like I was trapped in my own body and I didn't have control.
Okay, we're going to take one more break, come back, make our predictions, and we'll talk about another sporting event in Canada.
For today, what would you say made our favorite league Canadian?
So for me, I really like the fact that it gave Canadians an opportunity to play pro football and remained entrenched in the communities and just being able to cheer for your city. People, they always berate Rider fans for wearing Rider jerseys around the globe. And I wish more CFL fans would do that for their respective team. I love the big mittens, staying warm to watch football with a whiskey flask in each boot just to stay warm. I love that our trophy is so accessible. Our players are I'm so damn proud still of this league. And now that I've just said that, none of that's changed today. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy about that. The single tear down Sheldon's eye. So you're ready for the Jays to win Game 6 against the LA Dodgers. I mean, 1992, the Jays won in 6. 1993, the Jays won in 6. Well, 2025 repeated that trend for the Blue Jays.
I don't know, man. They're going up against that pitcher who has thrown complete games the last 2 times he's been out there. So, I kind of at the beginning of the season, or I mean at the beginning of the series, I said Blue Jays in 6, thinking that was very wishful thinking. I wasn't quite confident. But hey, the Blue Jays have 2 chances to win at home, and they've shown that. They've gotten all-star level pitching. They've had their issues with, not being able to hit off a few of the pitchers, but then they were able to completely kind of rattle Snell last night. I feel like it's destiny. I think the Jays have to win this, but it's still the Dodgers. It's still one of the, the top payroll in the league. It's still the quote unquote best team of the past few years. So anything can happen, but I like our odds having 2 games at home to close this out.
Bill in Burlington saying Halloween here in Ontario ends at 7:59 Eastern tomorrow night. Is this happening anywhere else?
I feel bad for the kids, man. I feel bad for the kids.
I've been hearing some people are going to use a projector to put the game like on garage doors as people are going trick-or-treating.
Tammy was telling me about that. I don't know. I don't know if I can swing that, but that's cool.
Wayne asking if I'm a Gene Mikowski fan. I'm guessing. I have a Gene Mikowski jersey in my closet, a big number 60. So I guess you could consider me a big Geno fan.
I love Gene Mikowski when he played for the Riders. I loved Gene Mikowski.
So yeah, I don't know if Wayne is a relative or something like that, but the World Series is going to be a blast. I wish the series was over by now because I got to work, but
let's hope it's Game 6 for you, and for CFL fans. Let's hope it's Game 6 so that we can just enjoy the semifinals on Saturday and not have to, watch it and then quickly flip over to see what happens in Game 7, because if it gets to a Game 7, that's probably going to be the most watched sporting event, I would assume, in probably Canadian television history. And hopefully people are watching the CFL before that too, though.
Yeah, I agree. The Eastern semifinal has the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in Montreal as 6.5-point underdogs, while the Western semifinal has the BC Lions hosting the Calgary Stampeders, and the Leos are 4.5-point favorites. I don't see the Winnipeg Blue Bombers being able to flip that switch and be that team of the last 5 years. I feel like the Alouettes come into this game energized, on fire from their past few games here. Davis Alexander has not lost. He will eventually. Will it be this year? I'm not so sure. I've got the Alouettes winning at home on Saturday. I do think that defense is going to be too much for the Winnipeg offense. And then on the Western semifinal, I don't know, man. It feels like Nathan Rourke's year to me. It does feel like destiny. Maybe he gets rattled in the Western Final in Regina, but I don't think he gets rattled at BC Place against the Calgary Stampeders. And I've got the Lions beating the Stampeders to head to Regina for the Western Final, while the Ticats await the Montreal Alouettes. Sheldon, who you going with this weekend?
Yeah, it's hard for me to pick different teams, to be honest. I do think that, like we said, Winnipeg's defense can do the job. Trey Vavel, can he, do some damage, getting them in excellent field position, maybe being able to return a kick. I'm not certain, but yeah, Montreal, they're hot right now. They're at home. They're fired up. They're ready to go, and they have just they have Alexander, and he's undefeated. And yeah, like you said, I don't know if that's ending at this season or not. So I'm also taking Montreal. I think it's going to be a close defensive game, though. And in the West, I also agree with you. I think at BC, I think Rourke is going to be able to show out at home, and just I don't think Calgary's defense is going to be able to pressure him enough to rattle him. But again, this is the playoffs, and anything can happen. But my picks are also Montreal and BC.
Yeah, and I don't think either game, well, they could go this way. I don't think either game is going to be a blowout, though. And I could see a path to victory for Winnipeg and for Calgary, but I had to lock in the picks, and that's what I'm locking in. I've been really good. In years past, I would flip-flop and change my picks like after the show, but now I'm like, I put it on record, I put it on the show. That's what I'm sticking with, win or lose, whether I regret it or not. So there we go. Week 1 of the playoffs. There are 5 CFL games left this season, man. When you put it that way,
Makes me sad.
It's a little bittersweet, isn't it?
It is. But you know what? That just means we're 5 games away from seeing each other.
4 games away.
4 games. Sorry, 4 games.
You can rate, review, and subscribe to Tune Out on your favorite podcatcher. Join us on the YouTube channel as well. You can subscribe there, catch our live streams, our shorts, and any other content we put out, and go to tuneout.ca to get updated on our latest shows and support us on Patreon. Take care of yourself and each other. Stay safe this Halloween and for the World Series. Talk to you soon.
The Tuned Out CFL podcast is written, produced, and hosted by Travis Currah and co-hosted by Sheldon Jones. Subscribe to Tune Out on all major podcast platforms and YouTube to keep up to date with future shows.